Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra Behaloscha. There's a revolution brewing in our world today that its far-reaching effects haven't sufficiently been noticed by the world. No shots have been fired, there haven't been any injuries, and no person has died, yet this revolution has caused plenty of casualties. The revolution is taking place in the arena of education, with more and more classes being offered online, and for free. Students, from the most senior adults to the youngest of children, are gaining access to education that as little as 5 years ago were only offered to an elite few. This education revolution is growing rapidly. The expansion of education speaks to a growing race towards knowledge. While in certain circles, knowledge and its pursuit was sometimes derided, this couldn't be farther from the truth in our tradition. God put knowledge as the prime value, stating that the study of Torah takes precedence over all other pursuits, and that in order to know God, one must study science. This Dvar Torah will examine a textual irregularity in this week's Torah portion, and will teach an important lesson about the pursuit of knowledge from it. Our Sedra describes the prayer that Moshe would recite each time that Bnei Israel traveled in the desert. This prayer is interesting and deserves analysis on its own. But what fascinates most scholars is this three-line section is separated into its own section in the Torah. This separation is a textual curiosity, for it doesn't seem that there's any obvious reason that necessitates its separation. In discussion about its separation, one opinion of the Talmud states that Moshe's prayer was separated to demonstrate that it will eventually be placed in its correct place, but for now it had to be placed in its location to separate between two tragic episodes that precede and follow this section. The second episode immediately follows this section, and it is Bnei Israel complaining about their conditions in the desert. Rashi and Tosafot, two great scholars, argued over what the first tragic episode was. Rashi said it was the setup to Bnei Israel's earlier complaint about the lack of meat in the desert, not to be confused with the second complaint about the lack of fish and vegetables. While Tosafot took an interesting position, one that will serve as the lesson for this Dvar Torah. Tosafot wrote that Bnei Israel ran away, like a child out of a classroom, from Har Sinai after receiving the Torah. Tosafot claimed that their fleeing was a tragedy that needed to be separated from different tragedies in the Torah. Tosafot's position that Bnei Israel fleeing from Har Sinai was a tragedy is an amazing reflection on the pursuit of knowledge as a priority in our tradition. Merely fleeing from knowledge was a tragedy in Tosafot's opinion. As the world begins to recognize the necessity of knowledge and they begin to pursue it with greater effort, meaning the Jewish people's pursuit of wisdom, must be redoubled. After all, we are the people of the book, and our very cultural identity screams for the pursuit of knowledge. Let's all strive for greater and greater knowledge. Shabbat Shalom.